Feeling inspired by hosts Ron and Tyler? This episode of the MovieBuffs Podcast is brought to you by the YouTube workout channel Time to Train Fitness. With all things YouTube, it's free. Jump into a bar class, crank out a cycling workout, or pump out a strength session. Everything you need to work out for free at home. Check out the description and subscribe today.
A quick promo break here in this episode. If you've been a fan of our podcast, you've probably already heard me, Tyler, one of your hosts, talk about the Naboso insoles. If you are ever wondering about, what are insoles? How do they help my feet? Are they really useful? I got to tell you that I've been wearing these Duo insoles for probably a year and a half now, and I think they're game changers. If you sit at a desk, if you are on your feet, so basically anybody, for anybody in the world, they can really help with your health. If you ever have foot pain or if you have any type of issues with your feet, these can be a game changer for you. Hopefully you take my word on it. You head to the link in the description, you buy yourself a pair, and you come back and you share it that, I actually bought those insoles and they actually do work. You know, that'd be something that we'd love to hear, love to see, because that means that you're working on your health. That's it for the promo break. Let's get back to the episode and keep hearing about all the random things that Ron has to say. Welcome in on another instant reaction episode in the MovieBuffs Podcast. My name is Tyler, and in this one, I'm going to be talking about Leave the World Behind. This is a rather newish Netflix release that it's got a big cast, I'll say. Some star-studded actors and actresses that will probably catch your attention, and I think that it might be worth your time, worth the watch. So I'm going to start by talking about why did I watch this film, because at first glance, if you just watch the quick preview on Netflix, so I mean, if you have what is it called, like the automated play, or like how it just, if you go to one of the thumbnails and it just kind of quickly plays a trailer for it, if you were to watch that, you might be a little confused because it doesn't really give you much. That's honestly how I felt when I saw the little quick preview. It's essentially just like a ship coming at Ethan Hawke and his family and Sandra Bullock. Sorry, not Sandra Bullock, Julia Roberts, while they're on a beach. And it's really just like 15 seconds of that. And you're just like, okay, what is this about? But I actually watched this because over the weekend, at the time that I'm filming this, it's around the holidays. Over the weekend, I was going to be going to a holiday party with my wife, and the gentleman that was hosting it, he had mentioned the week prior, have you seen that movie, Leave the World Behind? And we hadn't. We only watched the trailer. But he had mentioned that he liked it, and I wanted to have a little conversation starter with him, or something to be able to talk with him about, because I feel like he's recommended some movies in the past and I just haven't got to them yet. And I was like, okay, I'm going to give this a shot. And hopefully it's good. And I was actually pretty happy that we did, because in a nutshell, I would say that this movie reminds me of a good M. Night movie, end of the world kind of movie, with a little bit of a Mr. Robot flair, if you watch that on USA. And if those two things interest you, I would say that you might want to continue listening on this episode, because I'm going to give a little bit more information. And with these instant reaction episodes, I'm going to go over this quickly if there's any new listeners out there. Instant reaction episodes in the MovieBuffs Podcast are really trying to be spoiler free. I don't think I have anything that's in this episode that's going to kind of ruin any of the plot or anything like that, or give away any of the big scenes. Instant reaction episodes are meant to entice you to listen. With this podcast, the MovieBuffs Podcast in general, Ron and I, we're busy guys. We have full-time jobs, whether it's a business or a business and a side hustle. And so recording movie content is not really what we're trying to do on a weekly or on a everyday basis. And I say that because we really record stuff that promotes you to go watch it. If we think it's worth the watch, hey, yeah, we're to record an episode. But if it's a movie or a show that is not, have I done a few of those? Yeah. I mean, I just thought of one off the top of my head. I remember I did one about Night Manager, which I didn't think that was that great. Or was a Night Agent, whatever it is. That it's one of our most popular episodes. But these episodes, they're meant to be things that entice you to go listen. And therefore, if it wasn't something that I thought that our audience wouldn't like, I wouldn't record an episode. And I say that because we did get some backlash because of a rather controversial movie that I think that that it's worth people's time. That's Miss Marvel, or Miss Marvel, not Miss Marvel, but the Marvels. And people thought that, I wasn't giving a full in-depth breakdown in my instant reaction episode. And my guess is it was just somebody searching through YouTube, trying to find content that just promotes their same viewpoint on it. And I wasn't trying to do that because it's not the point of these instant reaction episodes. So I already spent too much time talking about that. Let's get on with this episode. I got to say thank you for taking the time to listen to the MovieBuffs Podcast. Greatly appreciate it. I know there's a lot of options out there for movies and movie podcasts. And so taking the time to listen, if at any point you missed part of this episode, and let's say you want to pick it up on YouTube, you can go to our channel and you can catch all our episodes there. While you're there, make sure to smash that subscribe button. Another promo break for you here. If you are a fan of the podcast, you know at the beginning of each episode, there is a promotion for Time to Train Fitness on YouTube that does online workouts that are free, 100% free on YouTube. What was just added was a 12-day workout series. So if you have dumbbells, if you have an indoor bike, you can follow this for 1 month to help you get back on track and work on your fitness. Check it out at the link in the description. Make sure you subscribe and make sure that you keep listening to the MovieBuffs Podcast. Let me talk about the casting crew now. Director is Sam Esmail, and I apologize if I mispronounced that incorrectly, but he's more known for Mr. Robot and Homecoming. That's why I said that in the beginning. This movie reminds me of a M. Night movie with the Mr. Robot flair. I would say that he's really good at these end of the world cyber attack thrillers and storylines. I think that whether it's Mr. Robot or even this movie, yes, it's fictitious, but there's elements of it that are in there that you're kind of thinking, it might happen tomorrow, or that could actually happen tomorrow, or that could happen the route that we're on. And I think those elements are what keep people engaged or keep people thinking, okay, oh man, this is kind of scary. This is something that could potentially happen. And that is not taken away at the story of it by me saying there's cyber attack or any of those elements in this film. That's actually in the storyline that I'm going to read in just a second. But I think that he's really good at that content. I did actually watch the trailer for Homecoming last night. I hadn't watched it prior. It's on Amazon Prime, and Julia Roberts is in it as well. It's got a pretty big cast. I think that one's more a little outside his wheelhouse, and we didn't end up watching an episode last night because I think we just weren't ready to watch it, but I would be interested in coming back to it. Now, the cast in this movie, Julia Roberts, as I've mentioned, Ethan Hawke is in it, Mahershala Ali and Kevin Bacon is in it as well. They, like I said, in the beginning, star-studded cast, big names right there. And I think that might be one of the main reasons why people do actually sit down for it. When they watch the trailer, they see who's in it, they're like, whoa, Julia Roberts? I know that she's an actress that a lot of people right off the bat are like, oh, I'm going to watch anything that she's in. And what I did actually read, and I don't know if it's one of the trivia things that I have later on in this episode, but this was actually her third piece of content that she's done with the director. And I mean, I like Mahershala Ali and Ethan Hawke. He went through that period of where he was literally in a million movies, and he does a pretty good job in this. Now, let me give you the IMDb storyline. Amanda and Clay's aspirational vacation with their teenage children is interrupted by the arrival of a middle-aged man and his daughter who own the holiday home and who have fled an unprecedented blackout in the city. When the internet, television, and radio stop working, as does the landline, they have no way of finding out what is happening. As strange sonic booms, I'm trying to read this out loud, and I got a joke after this. As strange sonic booms shatter the peace of the countryside and animals start to migrate in strange ways, the physical and mental health of the families begins to disintegrate. The renters are are upscale and white. The owners are upscale and black. The issues of race clash and become distractions to more alarming things are happening all around them. Now, the joke I have to make, and there is a link in the description for Grammarly, but every time I copy and paste one of these storylines from IMDb, they're all lit up with colors. And I always just think in my head, why doesn't everybody have Grammarly? And I'm not trying to give a promotion right now for Grammarly, but it's honestly something that I don't know how I would live without it. I use it on my phone, on my computer, and it helps me write everything, text messages, descriptions for social media, this whole outline right here. But like I said, every time that I get one from IMDb, it is just lit up. Now, let me talk about the movie some more here. And one of the strong pieces in this movie that I think is Mahershala Ali's character. His name's G.H. Scott. And the script, the story, the acting, and I mean, he's one of the top actors, in my opinion. It does such a good job of changing the viewpoint and the opinion of the viewer. You are literally on a roller coaster, and your viewpoint or your opinion of him will change almost every 15 minutes in the movie. At points, you're a little suspicious. You're kind of thinking, oh, okay, can you trust him? The next, you're kind of thinking, okay, I kind of see what his motivations are. Okay, I see why he did what he did. And okay, I'm starting to trust him. And there's even points that you're like, okay, he's a good guy. He's a good person. And he is somebody that I believe. And those are all things I think come from a solid script. You always hear actors talking about that. Oh, it really depends on the script. And I think that him and his quality of acting and pairing those with the script and the storyline, all those kind of things, it does such a good job at all those points that was one of the things I realized about 3/4 in. You're like, oh, wow. Like I went through this roller coaster with this one actor, with this one character in this movie. And I remember that I started off not trusting him, not liking him. And you could say that about, even Julia Roberts, her character in it as well, which goes to, again, pointing at the script. There are points in this movie that you think she's a bitch. There's the points in it that you're like, whoa, she's awful. But, Julia Roberts I think she's not a bad person. She's not really an actress that I follow. And I know that there are some out there that do. But I think that goes to quality actors, good director, good script, good storyline, and what they do with this movie. I think it's great. I think that roller coaster probably could be said about multiple people in this movie. I'm going to talk about now the believability of this film. And with this movie, and I said this already with also Mr. Robot, I think that it also does a good job that there's moments in it where it hit you emotionally, whether it's frustration, anger, questioning, or even sadness, or even worry. There's a lot of moments in this that you're kind of like, okay, I want to see what's next. I want to keep watching. With Netflix streaming, there's a lot of content out there that, and I used to make this joke, and I think I did it for like 1 or 2 podcast episodes where I would rate the movie based on how many times I would pick up a phone, or even your intentions to probably pick it up because you're losing interest in it. This movie does a good job of keeping you engaged, which I think that is a good sign of a movie in terms of if more people would potentially watch it, if people are going to talk about it. You're not really hearing much about this movie. I feel like it's more word of mouth and probably the way that your Netflix algorithm works and what they're showing you when you first log in. But like I said before, this movie, these end of the world movies, with this one, and let's say comparing it to what's that guy that does all those end of the world movies? And I know that the second this goes out and one of our listeners hears me say this, they're going to text me the name of this director. I'm thinking, I'm trying to blank on it. But he did the end of the world, Day After Tomorrow. And he just did one of those, the moon, where like the moon was blowing up or whatever. I didn't watch that movie, but this one, end of the world, but more in terms of you can see these things happening. I can't, in my mind, picture right now the moon crashing down to Earth right now. I just can't see it. Or The Day After Tomorrow, or the world's freezing over. I just can't see it. And I actually did watch that movie I tried to watch it, and I couldn't get past maybe 20 minutes of it, mostly because how things have advanced with CG. And that's funny that I say that, because I feel like these days everybody on Twitter these days is a CGI expert. And I don't know how they would have lived 15, 20 years ago, being able to watch those movies. Because I remember watching those back then. You're like, oh my goodness, that looks so realistic. But now you watch them and I'm like, okay, it kind of looks like a video game. But this one, it's just a well done in terms of you could see a lot of these things happening in it. And I'm not going to say what kind of happens in it with the end of the world pieces in it. I mean, you could listen back to the storyline that I said, which I took from my IMDb, but there's a good amount of things that happen. And you're like, okay, yeah, I could see each one of those leading to one after the other. Let me give you some trivia now that I pulled right off IMDb. And I always have to give this little caveat that I believe these are these are submitted by fellow audience people, members, that people just can go on and put these up there. So if they are not correct, I apologize. But I always think that it's a fun part to read when I do a little bit of research on a movie. Now, the first one here, the picture of waves in the upper bedroom changes during the movie. The tide is rising. The same applies for the black and white picture in the living room, which resembles a changing Rorschach picture. This is something that I didn't notice, but when I did read this one, I did think back, no, that would be a nice piece to go back to watch. I'm not sure right now if I would rewatch this movie. I don't really watch a lot of these types of films, but that is a cool little piece of it. It's a little almost, it's something to look out for. And I saw that one multiple times in the trivia section. GH's neighbor, last name is Huxley, a homage to Aldous Huxley, who wrote Brave New World and other novels that painted pictures of dystopian futures where technology has become the thing that corrupts humanity and is used as a way to harm people. Big theme of the movie, and kind of what plays out throughout this. Amanda's laptop and the emergency kits that Danny buys. Amanda is, I believe, Julia Roberts' character, and then Danny is Kevin Bacon's character. Buys at the store are made by E Corp, a fictional corporation that was central plot to the previous project by writer-director. The series Mr. Robot, a book, Beach Towel, written by another Mr. Robot character. Irving also appears. After I saw this, I actually wanted to go back and watch Mr. Robot. I don't really remember much about it. I know that I watched the first season, and I think I might have stopped at some part in the second. I do remember that I did like for season one, but I do want to actually go back and watch it just to watch it. I rewatch a lot of series that I like, and I'm gonna put it on my list. Last one here that I put down: Denzel Washington was cast but dropped out and was replaced by Mahershala Ali. I could see either one of them doing this role in it. Denzel, of course, quality actor, and I mean his on-screen presence is just as good, or Mahershala is, I'll say, just as good, or on the same level these days. But I mean, they're both A-list actors, so you could see them doing that role. Now, let me get to my recommendation and kind of wrap this up here. I would say that if you liked Mr. Robot, or you enjoy the end of the world movies, you will probably like this movie. That's the easy way to say it. If it's not really action-packed or one that's going to motivate you to change, it's not trying to do that at all. But it's surprisingly a fun watch, in my opinion. I think that I came up in with low expectations. These days, Netflix, I feel like they have movies that are just missing pieces. They're just missing story, or they don't really hammer down on the story before they film. And that's not to call out anybody or any other movies. I don't have one in mind, but I always feel like there's something missing these days, that movies that are going straight to streaming. And this one, I think it does a fantastic job of keeping you engaged, like I said. But if you don't like end of the world movies, cyber attack movies, or that Mr. Robot was not one of your favorite series, you're probably not going to like it. I think not like as specific as The Killer, how I think that movie requires a specific type of viewer, but I think this could open up to more viewers. I think that more people do like these type of movies, or will actually take the time to watch them. And I think more people will understand this movie because it's real life stuff that could potentially happen. So that's my recommendation. I do think it's worth the watch. If you are listening to this podcast, you will probably watch this or you would enjoy it. I know that there are some doubters out there. Same person will probably text me about the name of that director that I'm drawing a blank on, that doubt when I say that this movie is worth the watch, but I do hope that you take the time for this. That's been it for this instant reaction episode. Again, my name is Tyler. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will catch you in the next one.